What is up, comic fans? Welcome to the Legion of Comics. I'm Mark, and today I'm really excited to bring a video that's a little bit outside of the box. So normally, obviously, we talk about comics and pop culture, and today we're going to be kind of going back to some old school stuff here. I found a really rare book, and it's probably one of the rarest books in the collection at this point. So I can't wait to talk about it. Don't go anywhere. Check this out. Shout out to the channel sponsor, Big Time Collectibles. They sponsor that monthly giveaway for the channel members. Be sure to check them out at their website and on social media. And if you need anything clean or press, hit up our good friend Justin on Instagram. Let him know you found him via the channel, or hit him with that promo code We Are Legion and take advantage of that special 2-for-1 deal that he's running for the channel viewers. All right, so let's get into it. So looking back, this was a major score, especially for the price we got it for and everything. So I'm a huge fan of pop culture, comic books, and all of that stuff. And if you followed my channel for any length of time, you know, or you've heard me talk about my favorite movie of all time is none other than King Kong, the original 1933 film. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to take a little look at his history and then talk about this massive find. So for those that don't know, King Kong first appeared on the silver screen in 1933, produced by RKO Pictures and starred the famous Fay Wray. The film went on to just stun the society. It was a classic film of adventure, of men like on the hunt for this island and these mystical creatures. It was them trying to tame nature, and it just all went south. It featured amazing special effects with the stop motion claymation stuff, and it has that iconic ending with King Kong on top of the Empire State Building, battling it out with the planes, which the Empire State Building was the tallest building at the time. And yeah, it was just a fantastic film. And it was so popular. It was such a hit that same year, they did a sequel called Son of Kong, where they actually went back to the island and found King Kong's son, who was a lot smaller in size and a lot different with this one. This one actually befriended everyone, and we saw the demise of not just Skull Island, but the Son of Kong at the end of the film as well. And it didn't stop there. The popularity of the character was so large that even over in Japan in 1962, they brought us Godzilla versus King Kong, or King Kong versus Godzilla. They took their most famous giant monster property and put them head to head against the most famous one from here in America. It was a fantastic movie. This one was like a big deal in my childhood. I remember popping the clamshell VHS and getting into it, watched it countless times. And it was such a great fight. Like the design for Kong was a little different. It was no longer stop motion. It was a man in a suit, and you can definitely tell the differences in the style of it. It had that Japanese design flair to it, but that made it something different, something unique for me that I just couldn't look away from. And watching these two titans clash was fantastic. And from what I remember, there was two separate endings to this film. Here in America, they battled it out and they went off the edge of a cliff, and at the end of it, only one popped up out of the water to kind of let you know who won, and it was King Kong. But if I remember correctly, in other regions, they had a different ending where Godzilla popped up out of the water. So they're kind of playing toward the fan bases for the area. But when it all comes down to it, Godzilla is awesome. But, you know, this says all you need to know. King Kong is that dude for me. It's just awesome. Just watching him shove that tree down Godzilla's throat is timeless. So in the midst of that coming out, they started an actual cartoon here in the States on ABC. The cartoon ran for a handful of years, from like 1966 to 1969. You can actually get these in some collected DVD volume. It's pretty cool stuff. It's a sign of its time, but it's definitely fun. And Toho Pictures over in Japan was not done with King Kong. That film was so popular that they actually did a standalone film for him called King Kong Escapes. And you guessed it, he fought Mecha Kong, which was another fun one. Dudes in suits going at it, just giant kaiju battles. It was great stuff, and it was just cool seeing these two head up. And you had Mecha Godzilla, so why not Mecha Kong? And it didn't stop there. The popularity of King Kong never wavered, because in 1976, they did a big budget remake of King Kong, just straight up retelling the story with a modern day take on it for the time. And it even starred a young Jeff Bridges, who you know from pretty much anything. It was still a man in a suit. The design for it was obviously updated with the special effects and stuff. And the Empire State Building was no longer the tallest building in New York, so they actually had him climb up the World Trade Centers, which we all know that they're no longer there. So it's one of those iconic movies where you get to see their impact on society and how big of a deal they were. And little things were changed. Instead of fighting airplanes, he fought helicopters. And it was really violent, actually, the way they just gunned him down, blood everywhere. fell to the ground to his death, just like in the original one. But again, the popularity of the character could not stop him from returning to the silver screen in 1986 for a direct sequel to that one called King Kong Lives. The opening scene of it, they're scientists in the lab building a giant pacemaker, an artificial heart to put in Kong and bring him back to life, because there was like this little catch that the King Kong Lives opened where the other one ended, and there was still a faint heartbeat. So they managed to replace his heart and keep him going, and they introduced him back into the wild to find out that there's a female King Kong out there, a Queen Kong, if you will. And this is pretty much an escapee type film with the military chasing him down. There's a big battle at the end. He squishes the psycho general, but he does get gunned down and killed again, unfortunately. But this one did have a little bit happier ending. We do see that the bride of Kong ends up having a son, and they're kind of peacefully back in nature. Now, King Kong will have a little break for a little while. It wouldn't be till 2005 when he comes back to the silver screen for that iconic Peter Jackson film, where he really just set the bar for what modern day special effects can look like. The special effects house that worked on that film is literally top tier, some of the best of the best. We won't really harp on that one, as most people know that one, as well as his 2017 reintroduction, this time by Legendary Pictures, and it was his introduction to the MonsterVerse. They started pumping out Godzilla movies and wanted to fill out a connected MonsterVerse, and they brought us Kong Skull Island, set back in like the 70s. Fantastic film, beautiful special effects, and it would eventually lead us to the 2021 slobber knocker, Godzilla versus King Kong. This time, King Kong did not fare as well as he did in the original one. Godzilla won a fight, Kong won a fight, Godzilla got the ultimate win at the end, but then they teamed up to fight against a Mecha Godzilla. This was a fantastic film. It's everything you want out of a giant monster flick. It was fantastic. So he has literally never left the public spotlight, from merchandise, toys, video games, everything. And he's even been in comic books. Numerous titles, numerous series, countless books, but most iconically, his first appearance in Gold Key Comics, King Kong. So that's the one that you might want to be on the lookout for if you are a King Kong collector. Just think it would be a cool first appearance. Now, this book did come out in 1976, the same year as that first remake. So it kind of coincides. So that's super dope. But that's not the rare book I'm talking about today. So before the film ever released, like the film was an original idea created by Marion C. Cooper. He was working on other stuff. He had read a book when he was younger about adventures in Africa, meeting these tribes and fighting a savage gorilla. And he thought about it, and he just stewed on it. And he eventually thought about doing a monster gorilla movie himself. And then he thought about making him bigger. And then one day at work, he saw planes flying overhead, and that's how he got the concept for the end of the movie. So he actually had the concept for the end of the movie before he ever had the rest of it, before the Wanderer ever set sail to go head to Skull Island. But what we have here is something that even predates the 1933 movie. So in preparation for that movie, back in 1932, they worked on putting out a book. And what we have here is an actual first print King Kong from December of 1932. Now, this is not a cheap book. Collecting first edition books apparently is its own market, has its own collectability and stuff. And this is it did come with a dust jacket. If you find one with a dust jacket on it, they are super expensive. And what this did, it's pretty much an adaptation of the film, but in print form. And it does have illustrations and stuff in here. I'm trying to be super delicate with this, but this is just wild, absolutely wild to think that we found a book from 1932 still complete and intact. It definitely has some wear and tear on it. And this, even without the dust jacket, is not a cheap book. And one thing I wanted to do was find a dust jacket for it. So that's one thing I want to actually spotlight. Found this company called Facsimile or Facsimile Dust Jackets LLC. Fantastic company. They specialize in making reproduction dust jackets, original style. So this is one that we just got in for the original dust jacket for this guy. Has not been put on the book yet. So I'm going to attempt to do that now. I don't know how this is going to work out. I've never done one of these before. I think I might even just leave the plastic on it because it looks like it's on there nice and chic. Like, I just want to, yeah, definitely going to leave the plastic on it for now. And they even have, let me show you this, the images in the front of the book from the film. Which, again, this would have been the first time anyone saw these images because this did predate the movie. There's those pictures. So yeah, this is not a book that you want to handle roughly. Definitely has to be handled very, very lightly. 1932. This book is, what is that, 91 years old? Holy potato. So there's the first time I'm seeing it with the dust jacket on it. So boom, King Kong, conceived by Edgar Wallace and Marion C. Cooper. It's got the beautiful spine artwork on the back, and that was another thing that just like really drew people in. He fought like dinosaurs, pterodactyls, just all kinds of giant creatures on Skull Island. The huge log with all the people that he was tumping off of it. But this is just absolutely fantastic. Cannot believe that is in my hands right now. That is super dope. But was really excited about that. Just wanted to do a video talking about King Kong because I've been asked over my time on YouTube, like favorite movie, talk about it. It's always King Kong. It's always been King Kong since I was little. It's always going to be King Kong. So I'm excited to have this in my hand. And another cool thing is having that one. You don't want to mess it up. That's not a great reader copy, but it has been reprinted. And here's a later edition from 1970s. Same book, just a newer edition. And this one as well has like cool pictures and little sketches and stuff in it, him fighting the plane and all that. But let me know in the comments what you think of King Kong, what you think of this find, this first edition King Kong from 1932. And I'm curious to know what everyone else's favorite movie of all time is, just all time, period. Like this one has had such a large impression on me. It's got to be King Kong. It's always going to be King Kong, I think. I don't think anything else is going to impact me like that film did. Just set off that sense of adventure in me. But that's going to do it for this video. Definitely leave me some comments down below. Let me know what you think. This video is a little different than a lot of the other ones I do, but I was excited to do it. I'm excited to share that with everybody and just talk more about my fandom with other stuff as well. I'm excited to hear what some of yours are. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and that's going to do it for this time. As always, I'm Mark, and we are Legion.